Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Happy birthday to the Youth and College Division. We are celebrating 85 years of legacy. We have come together today in honor of the birthday of the Youth and College Division. And in the spirit of intergenerational organizing, we're going to discuss legacy and impact. So, my name is Shevann Steuben. I'm the president of the Texas NAACP Youth and College Division, representing Region 6. And, my first question is, Ms. Ericka, what brought you to the NAACP?
Well, Shevann, I am Ericka Cain. I'm one of the Region 6 National Board members. I also hold the position of Texas State Conference Secretary for the adults, as well as I am the interim Texas Youth and College Advisor again. Never thought I would be doing that again. But it is so funny because I'm going to be very honest. What brought me to NAACP was I saw a cute guy in college, and he was going into this building, so I followed him, and he was at the NAACP meeting. And so it kind of piqued my interest, as well as the University of North Texas had an excellent buddy system program. And so I was actually paired up with my mentor, Shevann Brown, who was the advisor for the local UNT NAACP chapter. And so she got me involved in NAACP. And so that's kind of how it all came about.
Okay, we appreciate the honest answers. If there's some cuties in the chapter, I'm not gonna be mad at it.
Hey.
Okay, well, my next question is, okay, how has you as an advisor prioritized the voice of young people to help transform the idea of intergenerational organizing and make it a reality?
I think as an advisor, the one thing that I've had to learn from coming out of a youth position into that position, as an adult, was realizing that everything wouldn't be done the way that I wanted it to be done. And respecting that even though it says youth in college, you guys are young adults, you have your own minds, and you actually are afforded different opportunities than what I had at the time when I was in youth in college. So just prioritizing your voice to make sure that I'm that go between of when you're trying to get something done, I'm making sure that the other half is not blocking you before you actually have the chance to state what you're trying to do. So I think as the advisor, it's our responsibility to advise. As you know, my number one concern was nobody go to jail. As long as nobody goes to jail, we're okay. But also at the same time, listening equally to you, and making sure to understand that you have different things. When I was in college, we didn't have Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, all this stuff. I think MySpace might have came about when I was in college, but ours was word of mouth. You guys have the internet, which can take things so much faster. So just realizing that even though I have done it in my role, respecting that you're going to do it a different way, and making sure that you feel your voice is being heard and not that it's just a checkbox. So, sometimes we do that as advisors. We do that in this association where we say, well, we want to hear from the youth. Tell us what you want to do. But it's almost like a check mark, like, okay, we heard from them, but now let's go do this. So I always saw my role as making sure that you didn't feel like it was you or a checkbox, that you actually were being heard.
No, that's really important. And I can definitely say firsthand that has been my experience with the lovely Miss Ericka Cain. But it is really important that our advisors play their role, which is to advise. So, along those lines, what role does legacy play on the impact of generational organizing, in your opinion?
This is one that I've sat with this question. So I was the advisor for 10 years before I stepped aside. And so I'm proud to say that I stepped aside because I made a vow to you guys that when I felt that I no longer had young ideas, then it was time for me to move aside and I had a replacement to replace me. But for me, I think it's realizing that we always talk about Martin Luther King was so young when he decided to take on the movement. We talk about everyone being young, but are we doing that now? So for intergenerational, are we truly embracing young people, or again, are we saying, well, this is my way, so I want you to do it my way, and you have to do it my way? And are we realizing that at times it's time to step aside? I was 40 or 41 when I decided not to be an advisor. And it's not so much that, I know some people look at it and say, oh, that's age discrimination. but it's just knowing when you need to find a replacement. So for me, my legacy in intergenerational organizing was making sure I always had a replacement. Someone was always coming behind me. And so for me, it's to be able to look at the national staff and realize that 95% of them came from Texas Youth in College, and knowing that they felt that their voices were heard. But I think the biggest thing as advisors, and as adults in this association, we have to know when to step aside, and when to allow you guys to lead, because you can lead and know that you're not going to lead the way we want you to lead, and understand that there's going to be some hard times in there, some uncomfortable moments, and some stretchable moments. I've had times that I had students that challenged me and challenged my thought process, and I now know that was all for the betterment of me moving forward as well as you guys moving forward. So I think, again, the biggest thing is just understanding we can't stay stagnant by thinking, oh, they're not doing it the way I want them to do it, because you don't have the same resources that I had. So for me, legacy and intergenerational is me knowing when it's time to step aside and know that it's not hurting my feelings and you're not trying to push me out the way, but it's time for me to get out the way and let some other people come on board. So I think that that's it, and I hope, that I've showed that. There's probably times I haven't because I'm me, but I hope, and I hope that other people will, take the lead on doing that. So now, Shevann, how has intergenerational organizing given you an advantage?
I think is one of the biggest advantages. And I think you mentioned it already. It's about the pipeline. So who's coming after you, even in terms of youth and college division. That's something that I've even been asked before, like who's coming after you? Who are you preparing? And so I think with intergenerational organizing, it's about using the knowledge of your elders, and being able to apply it to now. So like you said, we have so many technologies. And so word of mouth, that's really helpful. But if you can get it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, it'll go way farther than how fast you can go to somebody's house door to door, like it was back in the day. And so I think where sometimes we run into an impasse is we forget that we need to be utilizing each other. So all the tactics from the past, they clearly worked because there was change that was created. But we have to develop them to match the times now, but we have to know where we came from first. And so how I see intergenerational organizing is taking my elders, whether that's someone who's been in the movement for a longer amount of time or just someone who is older, or more seasoned, as they like to say. um, and so if I use like you as an example, there's many times where I come to you and I say, hey, how's it been done in youth and college division before? How's it been done in Texas before? Well, why haven't we done this? And using our elders as a resource just to say, tell me how it's been done so that I can either repeat it. I might not like it, like you said, I might not like what you say, but I'm going to use it and interpret that and apply it to the situation now. And I think that's where it becomes really important. That's where progress comes into play. Because if you don't know what happened before, you might be repeating a step. But if you do know what happens, you may want to repeat it. And it has to be a desire, it has to be the best fit. But if you know what's happening before, you can take that and say, okay, well, actually, y'all went door knocking. We actually have access to phone banking now. And that is probably the easiest tactic instead of going door to door, especially when you think about COVID right now. And so we have those technologies to be able to apply it. And how do we use those same tactics? You're still personable. Just like you would walk up to somebody's door, that's how you want someone to answer the phone. So you're still able to use those aspects from the past to still impact the present and the future.
Okay. Now, how could other generations impact your generation's organizing and activism in a way that could be helpful?
Yeah. And so I think for that, it's about being open. So I think what you said earlier too about sometimes, no offense to our seasoned folks, it's really easy to say, like, no, you shouldn't do that. Y'all shouldn't be rioting. Y'all shouldn't be protesting. Y'all being a little raunchy, whatever you want to call it. It's really easy to say, no, don't do that. But it's not easy. Well, it can be just as easy to say, hey, this is a better way to do this, or this is why I'm saying that you shouldn't do it this way. So I think it's about being open about the knowledge that you have and strategic about the delivery in which you say it. Because again, it can be really easy to say, you should not send that email that way. Like something really simple, right? Instead of saying, hey, Shevann, you can write that in a little bit of a nicer tone, add a little fluff, make sure you ask people how they're doing, make sure you give them a little action item. And I'm actually really speaking from personal experience. I really had to have this coaching. It's really abrupt. But there's just a lot of coaching that can go along with it. So making sure that you meet people where they are, because I may think, again, I'm really direct, straight to the point, like, hey, what time are we meeting? You're like, Shemaya, you asked me how I'm doing. Like, you didn't say anything to me. Like, um, but also explaining to me, like, people want to feel like you care. And not in like a fake way, like, oh, just add how are you just because, but no, like, do you really care? Oh, I do care about people. Oh, hi, Miss Ericka. How are you doing today? Hope you're well. Can we meet about this topic, right? And so that's just a really simple example. But my point is, with our intergenerational organizing, it comes and it becomes really seamless when we're actually open to communicating and actually open to new ideas. And then for like my peers, being willing to be coached, because even some of the things that, while we're being told, okay, that's not the best way to do it, you also have to be open to hearing that and open to saying, okay, well, you're telling me it's not the best way. Even if it's not delivered in the best way to me, I can still say, okay, hey, Miss Ericka, well, you're telling me it's not the best way. Is there a better idea, or is there something that has been done in the past that has made better progress? So it's a two-way street. So everybody has to be open, but even if one person is not, being willing to kind of pry around and say, how can we actually help each other so that we're not fighting against each other? This is not a generational war. We're not having a generational war between Black people. This is Black people that should be coming together to continue to fight the war that we've been in for years, well, centuries almost. So that's what kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. So understanding that, I think with you guys, my rule was always, if you come to me and I say no, have a backup. Or just because I say no doesn't mean that's the final no. Come to me with a solution about something. But the biggest thing is just being open to realizing that we've been around this long because things have constantly changed.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So, seeing that it's our birthday, the Youth and College Division, what is your birthday gift to the state of Texas that will leave an impact and create a legacy during these unprecedented times, that we're continuing to fight for Black liberation for our people?
If I could give Texas a gift, obviously I would give Texas with new leadership up top, because that is part of it. But I think also the gift of knowing that um, there's nothing permanent in life except change, and so we are going through some rough times right now because this is our season for change. And my hope, and I will continue to say this to people, is that with everything that we just went through in Texas a couple of weeks, I hope you really understand how important it is to vote. It does not, I'm not asking who you vote for, but just understanding that our power at the ballot box moves things and makes change happen. And fully understanding that it doesn't start with just a presidential election. Your local elections are very important because those are the people that are making the policies that you're having to live with every day. And I think also too, um, the African proverb that if there is no enemy from within, the enemy from outside can do no harm. So the day that we all can wake up and decide to all work together, and not work against each other, will be the day that we can achieve ultimate success. So I think, again, for me, the gift that I leave is knowing that I'm always here for you guys, but that I'm showing you that it's okay to move on. It's okay to move out your comfort zone. I didn't want to stop being the number one advisor in the nation because I was at the top. Who wants to lead the top? You at the top. But I had to do that so that someone else could come in, and do that. So knowing that it's okay to move and to be uncomfortable for a while, but knowing that this organization, the oldest and boldest organization, loves young people. And that is why I've stayed around as long as I have, and I haven't left and went anywhere. And I hope that I'm paving the way for you guys to come after me. So that's kind of what I would do.
Well, you definitely did that. You paved the way for, the Texas Youth and College Division to win the best Youth and College Division for nearly a decade. So I think you've done a great job. So,
Yeah, I think so. What about you, Shevann? What would be your gift?
I think my gift, especially in this role, is to really develop leaders and advocates within the Texas Youth and College Division who can actually fight towards this Black liberation that we're talking about. So, who are actively going and making sure people are registered to vote, are making sure that we're going to get new leadership in 2022 that is very, very severely needed, especially part of the way that like our winter storm was handled, as well as this recent mandate on masks that was lifted. So I want to leave Texas with a group of fearless freedom fighters from the NAACP that will continue to further this progress and that will actually offset the disasters that we've been facing. And so that would be my gift is one, I would agree with Miss Ericka, like when it's my time, I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all, maybe in a branch. But before that is, or whenever that time may be, that I leave some people who are ready to do that same work and even surpass what I've been doing and what I hope to do in the near future. So, just leaving a great group of people. That's what I hope.
And I think you guys will. Again, legacy. I can look at all of the acrylic that I've brought home every year and all of the awards that you guys have brought home. But to see you guys doing what you do every day, that's legacy. To know that that was created through this wonderful association. And again, NAACP would not be anything without the Youth and College Division. So,
Oh, well, we're good to be here.
yes.
But thank you all for joining us in our conversation and celebrating the 85th years or celebrating 85 years of legacy and impact. And so if you're interested in becoming a member of the association, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, I advise you to go ahead and check out our national website at naacp.org. If you're interested in getting involved specifically in Region 6, so that's Texas, New Mexico, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. Feel free to find those state websites. If you're specifically interested in Texas, you can find us at TXSTATENAACP.org. So that was Texas, the abbreviation state NAACP.org. And especially if you're looking to contribute to some of the disasters that's happened around our mask mandate as well as the winter storm, feel free to reach out to us. And again, happy birthday to the Youth and College Division.
NAACP. Remember, when you cut me, I bleed. NAACP for life.
All the time.
That's how it is.